Today, I want to talk to you about different powers that you can tap into, different patterns and potentials, very special properties which you can access and take your entire life to the next level. These are levels of extreme coherence, and they're depicted classically as archangels. Archangels are divine and infinitely powerful archetypes. And we're going to look at all the archangels. We're going to understand what each one of them represents and how you can access these elevated potentials and apply them in your life for higher levels, higher quality of behavior, higher quality of experience, higher quality of everything. Singularity is absolute coherence, it's absolute wholeness. God, as singularity and consciousness itself, holds all solutions, all answers, all powers. It represents the highest potential imaginable. From singularity, if we're going to look at this linearly, from singularity, you then manifest. You start manifesting into form. The first form, right below singularity and absolute singularity, God itself. You have supreme energetic patterns that function absolutely effectively. These patterns of extreme coherence are represented as archangels. They are not separate, but they are different aspects of the same extreme and absolute coherence manifested. So let's get into them. The first archangel, Michael, represents this extreme and superior level of coherence when it first emerges into form. So this is your ability, if we are going to connect this in our lives to our practical lives. This is your ability to maintain direct connection, maintain perfect coherence and alignment during any situation in physical reality. That means absolute clarity in conflict. That means absolute dominion over your circumstances. No matter what happens, you never freak out. No matter what happens, you have dominion over the dimension of chaos. And you maintain the quality of Michael, which is divine coherence. You maintain it in your life. Everything becomes clear. Nothing phases you, nothing affects you. You're coming from a pattern of absolute order inside of your entire being. Your your thinking is in a different level. Your emotions are on a different level. Your entire nervous system and body is organized. You can look at powerful leaders. Whether they know it or not, they have somewhat of this dimension tapped into. It comes from a direct vertical connection, a straight message from the divine, where Michael floods your entire operating system and you are guided by extreme levels of coherence. And through this extreme coherence is the coherence that is now in charge, and not your panic, not your limited negative thinking, not your pessimism, not your no. This is a different dimension you tap into, and this is the first. So is coherence as this alignment that persists, this absolute alignment, absolute order, non-reactive order. Then we go to the next archangel, which is Gabriel. Now, as this order permeates my soul, permeates everything around me and within me, now it becomes transmitted. So this extreme level comes down as transmission, and my ideas and my actions start changing. I maintain the clear signal, and my actions now, the words that come out of my mouth, how I lead, how I become the leader of my own life, becomes taps into extreme levels of coherence. Do you realize that everything in the universe can be guided as chaos and order? Chaos in the infinite realm of infinite possibilities, but order, meaning extreme coherence that creates patterns of energy and behavior and emotion and information and instruction, patterns that work extremely well. That's why it's called order, because it works in an ocean of chaos. What works is order and coherence. Order and coherence are manifestations of energy that make it work, make something work. That's what gives form to things. So tapping into coherence is all you can do. So the Archangel Gabriel holds extreme advanced transmission. That means you identify the signal of coherence and you know what has to be said. You know what the right decision is. You know what the right direction to go is. You can read life better. You can express your feelings clearly. You can express your intentions clearly, right? The real idea here is that for anything to work in anyone's life, you need to be able to cut through distortion. You need to be able to become a beam of light amidst the chaos. You need to tap into these levels of coherence that the archangels make possible for us to become aware of, so we can embody these things. Number 3 is Raphael, which is very interesting, and it means healing and restoration and reintegration. That means that you're embodying this extreme level of coherence. Every cell of your body feels safe. Every fiber of your being feels safe. Every photon feels like it's awakened and vibrant. Your body becomes whole, and you tap into physical integrity, mental integrity, emotional integrity. What does that mean? That means that you're able to see things that were once fragmented. That means that your physical health becomes whole. You heal physically, you heal emotionally, you heal mentally. You understand things about your past that were holding and sustaining trauma and energy, emotional charge that had to be resolved. That's what Raphael allows you to do, with extreme levels of coherence towards healing and restoration. You understand the patterns that you were once following that were destructive and self-sabotaging you. And you're able to organize these things. You're healing the body, you're healing the mind, you're healing the emotion. Number 4 is very special. It's called Uriel. And it represents those moments of insight, because coherence and extreme levels of connection to these divine properties, they're going to come down on you as rains of silver. Which, what do I mean by that? Valuable insight. You're so orderly. Your entire being is so organized. You see and interact with existence in a level that is so clear, aligned, and coherent that you start having all these aha moments. This deep insight, this valuable insight that is going to deepen your existence. It's going to take you places in life. It's going to make you see everything differently. You're going to tap into information most people don't have access to. You're going to tap into levels of order that are hidden to most people. You're going to look at things and understand things for what they are. Understand things that most people miss. You're going to understand how people think. You're going to understand how you think. You're going to understand how they feel, how you feel. You're going to tap into deeper layers of information that very few people have access to. You're going to be able to see things that hide beneath appearances. You're learning to decode reality now, which is beautiful. Very few people get to see that. Very few people are connected and open to this level of insight. And living in this dimension of insight is just precious, right? So basically, Uriel is this coherence becoming intelligible. You know, you're receiving these levels of coherence as little rains of gold and silver coming down, sparks of light that tell you something deeper about reality. You can apply any of that in your life, and most people are not even gonna understand. They're gonna ask themselves, where's this guy coming from? How does he know that? How can he think that way? Because you're coming from a dimension most people don't have access to. Number 5 is Chamuel. And that means that this extreme coherence is now transcending outside of you. And it's extreme coherence through relationship with the world. What do I mean by that? You're going to understand relationships with people on a different level. Not only people, but with every element of physical reality. You're going to see elements of physical reality for what they really are. And you're going to be able to create a connection with other people and things that are deeper. You're going to create a deeper connection to people and a deeper connection to things and to causes. You'll create a deeper connection that most people can't tap into. You're going to see people for who they actually are. You're going to understand where they're coming from, because now you're coming from a very orderly and coherent information processing. So 80% of the chaos that was taken over previously and making all of that energy leak, it's gone. If my mind is chaotic, I can't process things for what they are. There are levels to this. The more chaotic you are, the more distorted your information process is. The more distorted your perception is, the more distorted your relationship with existence is. You want coherence. Coherence is what is always going to give you the answer. You won't have to look for it. You're tapped into order itself. It holds the answer. It holds the perfect solution. It holds the perfect destiny. It holds the perfect process. It holds the cure for any fragmented reality. Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, on a soul level, anything. So Shamuel is this coherence felt now as connection with all external elements of life. People, nature, events, situations, elements of nature, objects, behavior. You feel some sort of connection. You can make a bridge and you can relate to any person differently now. You can really connect to them. You can help them on a level they wouldn't expect. You can express truth towards them in a level that very few people do. Now, the next one is Jophiel, which means the beauty of God, which means that this coherence now is structured into forms that are aesthetic, and you can recognize this order on a physical form. You're connected to sacred geometry. So when something is truly harmonious, you can see that. You can perceive that. You can sense that. Your nervous system feels it, right? So you can see where people are coming from. You can see their geometry. You can see how symmetric they are, how symmetric their energy field is, how symmetric and coherent the way they're feeling is. It's almost as if you could enter a place and feel the energy. You could look at a shop and feel the energy. And the last one I'm going to talk to you about is, and the last one I want to talk to you about, it's Zachiel, which means the justice of God or divine righteousness. This is when you understand and you build a deeper connection to what you put out, the energy that you put out. Your mental, emotional, and physical actions become extremely coherent. And you become, instead of you stop, you distance yourself from polluted action and you start becoming pure light action. This is when you have a deeper understanding of cause and effect, and you start purifying every thought. You start purifying every chemical in your body. Every word becomes a word of compassion and not destruction. This is coherence through compassion. So you start having compassion for every mistake that you've ever done, and you start flooding yourself with forgiveness and compassion. And very few people tap into this. You flood yourself with forgiveness and compassion. You feel this higher level of self-love that becomes externalized and expressed to the world outside of you. You become the movement of your karma starts purifying. And just as my hands are showing, what comes out comes back to you. What comes out comes back to you, and you start purifying this process, because people don't understand what the justice of God means. They think the justice of God means that somebody is holding a whip and they're going to punish you. They don't understand divine judgment. This is basically singularity being brought down into duality, which is cause and effect, which is also another part of the miracle. And when you take dominion over cause and effect and you master cause and effect, every gift that you put out comes back to you. So you become a 360 degrees emanator of pure blessings, compassion, love, wisdom, service, everything, because that's what it's coming back to you. So every mistake that you've ever done, every piece of resentment that you might have been carrying in your life in the past, all of that becomes dissolved, and you start purifying your entire soul, your entire body. And you start understanding the law. What you put out comes back to you. So you start being very mindful of all the nuances that come out of you. Every single thing. Every single thing. You understand what is pure in the position of purity that you want to maintain, because you've understood the law. You understood that every evil or ill-intended thought, impulse, intention, or action that comes out of you comes back to you instantly by the divine justice of God, which feels painful. That's why we think there's some sort of punishment, but it's actually unconditional love acting for your evolution and expansion. And understanding the law allows you to navigate through the world on a different level. So these are the 7 archangels. There's more archangels, but I'm going to only talk about these 7 today. Extreme levels of supreme coherence, which you can tap into and bring those divine attributes into your life and bring them to use. First, you become aware of these things. Then you meditate on these things. You realize the importance that they have in your life, and you cultivate them in your life. People think of meditation. People have a limited perspective on meditation. Meditation is not something you do. You acquire a meditative quality towards life. What is a meditative quality? Coherence. The ability to tap into, generate, and maintain higher levels of coherence in the body, and therefore tap into all these super abilities that we all have access to. They look super because most people don't use them, because most people operate in sheer chaos. Tap into the archangels and change your life for the better.